Christopher. Hey, Tony. Hi, Philip. Mateus, hey, good. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I appreciate you guys joining in. How is the balance? Can you hear my voice okay? Can you hear the guitar okay? Cool. Do I remember playing an unannounced gig at a small bar in Red Hook? Sometime after Come Away With Me started to hit. Christopher, you have to tell me more. That's like 20 years ago. Do you remember the name of the bar? Do you have pictures? It's totally possible. I lived for a little while, kind of in Red Hook on Court Street, Court and Hamilton, just under the BQE, on not on the sort of Park Slope side, but on the kind of garbage processing side there, Court and Hamilton. Did you live over there, or did you own that bar? Tell me more. Huh. Christopher, I'll have to look it up. That sounds totally plausible, but I don't remember it specifically. Wow. Huh. Okay. And your band is Circus Mind. Is that band still going? Hey, Ollie. Thanks a lot. Yeah, of course I know Teddy Kumpel. Oh, here's a question. Uh, Philip Ashby says, Adam, after a life on electric guitar, I've gotten a couple acoustics that I've bonded with and am really enjoying it. I started to incorporate finger picking. Any tips for a beginner about finger picking? Uh, I mean, yeah, the things that I would recommend for somebody who's played electric and is getting into finger picking and playing acoustic, one would be, play, excuse me, play acoustic every day, or at least every day that you play the guitar, make sure to spend some time with the acoustic. They are, or they can be pretty different in the way that they speak and resonate and stuff. So make sure that you're getting into the sound of the acoustic and what it feels like. Learn some songs. I think when I first started playing acoustic seriously was around 2002. I was in Nora Jones's band for a little while when we had two guitar players. We had a dedicated acoustic guitar player, and then I was playing electric. And that was really before we started touring. It was really at the beginning of her, kind of blooming career. So when we started touring, there wasn't enough money really to take a five-piece band on the road. So we went out just Nora and her bass player and me, and I was switching back and forth between electric and acoustic, and I was really green at it. I hadn't done a lot of finger picking. I may or may not have owned a capo prior to that. I'm not even sure. So just make sure that you put in the time with both. Play some electric every day, play some acoustic, and learn some songs. I, at that time, had to learn songs. I had to learn songs from Nora's repertoire. So I had to learn Don't Know Why and Nightingale and things like that that you might know from her first record. And that was really helpful for me. I wasn't doing a lot of exercises. Like I didn't have like a finger picking exercise book. I was just learning songs. Later, I got there's a book, uh, something about Travis picking by Mark. Oh boy, it's escaping me. He's written a bunch of books for acoustic guitar about tunings and finger picking. And he's got a book. I'm going to cheat and look it up real quick. Um, Travis picking book, Mark Hanson, Hanson, The Art of Contemporary Travis Picking. I found that book really helpful, just to get the machinery kind of tuned up. I think you have to be able to do it without thinking about it. And that book had a lot of just little short exercises that were helpful to me. Also, one other book is there was an Italian guitarist composer, Mauro Giuliani, Giuliani, and he published this thin little book with 120 arpeggio exercises. That's really like your calisthenics. I would recommend that you get that book and work through it really slowly. There's 120 exercises. You could spend a couple years if you wanted to working through that book. So those would be the things. Good luck, Philip. Teddy's a friend of Christopher. Yeah, Teddy is really awesome. I don't see him around as much as I used to. I don't know why that is. I feel like the last time I ran into Teddy might have been at a NAMM show 4 or 5 years ago, but maybe I've seen him since then. He's an incredible guitar player that everybody in New York knows and appreciates. And I hope that's true outside of New York as well. Yeah, Teddy's really special. Teddy Kumpel, check him out if you don't know him. Love the 2 tracks of your Spry demo. Can't wait for the rest. Thanks, Todd. It was fun to kind of rediscover that stuff. It was just memos that I had made, voice memos that I had made for my band, so they could learn the songs. And I went back to them later and thought that there was actually some cool stuff on there. So I just released that. If anybody's not sure what he's talking about, I made a record called Spry that came out in September, and just today I released the acoustic guitar demos uh, that I made in order to teach the band the songs. Maybe I'll make a link of that so you can check it out. Hope nobody minds if I put that in the chat there and people can check it out. Yeah. So there it is if you want to see what we're talking about. I'll pin it so you can check it out. So this is this new acoustic record that I just dropped today. You saw Teddy with Joe Jackson. After a long string of great players, Teddy was very impressive. Yeah, that's really true. Yeah. Abel Carlavaro's book is good for right hand. I don't know that book. Arturo, can you say a little bit more about it? Is there a title, or can you tell us a little something about the book? What makes it great for you? Because I'm always looking for some, good stuff to do with the right hand. Another thing I found helpful, but maybe it also depends on what it is you're trying to do. If you're trying to play, like kind of folksy, finger picky stuff, I would say, get some books and make sure that you focus on playing real songs. I've gotten some really interesting right hand development out of studying some of Jimmy Weibel's etudes, but that's like a technique that's really specific to his way of playing and is incredible. If you haven't checked out Jimmy Weibel or his etudes, you can look him up. But that would be really different than like accompanying yourself to sing a song or accompanying a singer-songwriter. But yeah, anything you do where if you've been playing guitar a long time and you haven't worked to develop that, almost anything you do will be helpful. But it just takes time. It takes a lot of time. Yeah, Gnome Saying is Teddy's band. That's right. I'm glad this guitar sounds good. This is, if anyone is interested, this is a Waterloo. The model is WLS Deluxe. And what you're hearing is a little bit, coming. I've got this microphone over here. And I'm also running, you're hearing a little bit of the pickup as well. Oh, there's a question here that I missed. SPGM says, if playing diatonically and holding a root of a mode to help bring out its tonality, that root can be played with any chord from the key to play solo lines over. Wow. I'm going to read that again. Make sure I understand. SPGM says if playing diatonically and holding a root of a mode to help bring out its tonality, can that root be played with any chord from the key to play solo lines over? I hope that made sense. So let's say we're playing in E Dorian. So that sounds like this. And we're going to hold the root. So I'm going to hold the E. And now I'm going to think of a chord progression. And then the question is, can the root be played with any chord from the key to play solo lines over it? So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm playing E minor, D, A, all with E in the bass. So you can keep that root note in the bass, yeah. And you can keep it on top too. Yeah, when you're playing modally, I think to me, that's part of the big idea is it's very open and a lot of stuff. The traditional rules of harmony and playing chord tones and stuff like that, a lot of that goes out the window. It just becomes kind of an atmosphere that has a mood, and you can really play pretty freely anything that you want to play. So now I'm holding the C sharp on top. So E minor with C sharp on top, D with C sharp on top, A with C sharp on top. What else? G with C sharp on top. All of that stuff, as long as you are making musical sense, playing lines that have real clear beginnings and middles and endings and kind of shape to them, I think you can do whatever you want. Just try to avoid just running up and down scales, and try to not sound like somebody who's just practicing scales, but make musical sense, make melodies, make phrases, use rhythm. And then, yeah, I think you can play pretty freely. Okay, Abel Carlovado series dedicated for guitar number 2. Wow, I'm going to take a screenshot of that because I have never heard of that. Thank you, Arturo Garcia Vasconcello. I have never heard of that book. I'm going to check it out. Martin 56 says, can you offer some insight into how D major 7 goes to C sharp augmented in Sidewalk Chalk? That whole section starting with the first D major 7 is unique. Yeah, so let me play a little bit of that, and then this is before that. And then I think this is the section. So there's this. So that's right before the D major 7 that you're asking about and right after it. I go, you could think of this as F sharp, sus 2. So normally we'd have the third in the chord to make it major, but I just play the root and the 2. So I'm thinking of that as F sharp or G flat major, but with the 2 in the melody. So, and then there's this E flat 7 with a flat 5 and a 9, and then to D major 7, and then C sharp augmented, and then the next 4 bars is basically C major 7, G, C, G. I'm oversimplifying the names, but that's functionally accurate. So how do I think about it? I'm thinking about, I guess at that point in my mind, the song has gone to the key of F sharp or G flat, whatever you want to think. How we got there, I'll leave that off the table for now because you're not asking that. But this is like 1, 6, 1, 6, but just a really colorful 6 dominant chord, which is, so normally the 6 chord in F sharp would be D sharp minor, but I make it a dominant chord, and then I've got a flat 5 and a 9. So you might think of it like there's like this chord might not look familiar to you, but if I just played E flat 9th, and then instead of having the 3rd here, included the flat 5, so it's coming kind of out of that shape. It's maybe more obvious there. So this is a really colorful dominant 6 chord, which you would expect to go to the 2, like a 1, colorful 6, and then you'd think we would go to 2, and then 5, and back to 1. But what I'm playing with in that section that you're asking about is kind of the expectation of this chord is that it's the 5 of 2. But also, if you just look at this chord, it's a really nice dominant approach chord. I'm just thinking about D major 7, and a dominant 7 with a 9 and a flat 5 is going to voice lead really nicely. You could do a string of those, and I think it would sound okay. Let's see. It's a little jarring at first, but if I do it a couple times, you can hear that there's hopefully a natural sound to that. So I'm kind of playing with the expectation that this chord is going here, but instead I go here, and then that C sharp augmented chord is really just the 5 chord of the F sharp, which is sort of a way to get back to, after going away, this is like away, and then back to the 5 chord, which should lead us right back here. So that's one kind of cell of that progression. It's sort of a reharmonized 1, 6, 2, 5. And then how I got then to this, I think I was just in my head trying to have some contrary motion here, where from that C sharp augmented, again, you expect this, but what I want to have is the bass goes down, melody goes up. And so if we go from this to this, it felt natural to me to harmonize it with some kind of C major something. It could have been C minor something, or C dominant something. It didn't really matter. I was just trying to get from here to here. But then melodically, I heard this melody. It's hard. It's when you try to look at something that you created in a kind of half in a dream state, to try to look at it with logic and music theory only goes so far. I find that with my own music, and then that's kind of a lesson in, how much we want to analyze other people's music, whether it's, Bach or Duke Ellington or whatever. Like the theory part, I think only can go so far, uh, because people just hear stuff in the moment and go for it. Anyway, hey, Merrick, I'm glad you got the book, and I'm really glad that you love it. That's nice. Martin 56. I hope that was helpful. Yeah, I think that's cool. I think just, yeah, loop the sidewalk chalk chords and try to create lines over it. The more you do it, the more I hope it will start to feel natural. Any kind of chord progression, the first time you hear it might seem uh, kind of alien, but if you play it a few times, you can get to it. Something that I did that maybe you will find interesting or helpful. When I wrote all of that music, I made charts of it so that I could send it to the band so that they could start learning it before we got to the studio. I made demos on my acoustic guitar and I made charts. And then we recorded, and then I didn't play any of that music for almost a year after we recorded it because I was busy doing other stuff. The band that made that record wasn't like a band that was regularly working. I had other stuff that I was doing. So, you know, 8 or 9 months later when I realized, "Oh, I'm gonna get ready and go play some of this music," I decided that to relearn it, rather than going to the charts, I went to, well, not to the demos, but to the recording. I went to the stuff that we did in the studio, and I tried to relearn it by ear, uh, from the studio recordings rather than from the charts because I didn't want to be analyzing it. I just wanted to be hearing it. Maybe you can do that, or maybe not. But I would try it. Like I just gave a very long uh, explanation of what it is, but the thing that you said you're doing would be a great way to approach it. Just make a loop and try to hear it, and then do it for a couple days, then put it away, and then if you still are interested, go back to it, and you'll just keep finding more stuff in there that you can hear. And I think that's, at the end of the day, more important than the theory part of it. I mean, I should be able to explain it because A, I wrote it, and B, I'm a teacher. But just, yeah, when you're creating stuff, I think there's only so much you can explain. I like that it's a little mysterious. Yeah. Uh, let's see. Happy Bandcamp Friday. This is from Tom Spoonmore. Happy Bandcamp Friday, Adam. Among the things I bought today was your A2's number one. How can I download the charts that go with the MP3s? Tom, if you when you buy the thing from Bandcamp, you should get an email from Bandcamp that says you can download it now, and then it I think will ask you to choose the format that you want, MP3, FLAC, WAV, whatever, and you choose that stuff, and then when you hit, and it doesn't mention anything about the PDFs at that point, but then once you decide what format you want the audio in, you download it, and it sends you a folder, or it downloads a folder, and then inside the folder should be the PDFs. If that is not true, just send me an email, adam@adamlevy.com, and I'll 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 just send you the PDFs. It shouldn't be that hard, but that's how it's supposed to work. Let me know if that's not the case. Uh, Pedro Lutz, Adam, many thanks for your way of sharing your art and your thoughts. You are very welcome. You're very welcome, Pedro. Marek says, "Are you a fan of Wolfgang Muthspiel? Been really digging his newest record." Yeah, it's interesting. He was somebody that I would see around New York when I first got here, like in the mid '90s, and I'd already heard him on records and read about him, like in Guitar Player magazine. He was on the scene at that time, and then left New York, and well, I left New York too for a while, and when I came back, he was less on the scene, but still very much a big presence in terms of touring and making records and um, so I can't say that he's like a big influence in one way. Like I don't have all his records, and I haven't learned a lot of his tunes. I did recently learn one of his tunes. Uh, so not like a lifelong uh, thing like that. But on the other hand, I happened to meet him around the time that I was writing the music for for my Spry record and getting ready to record it. Um, I was on a recording session that he had been at that same session earlier. He was like a special guest who was there earlier in the day, and then I came in later, and I was maybe the first time I had actually met him, I think. And, I played him the tune of his that I had transcribed. Yeah, because there's I think it is most recent record with Scott Colley and Brian Blade, and, I got really excited by that record because, I was thinking about doing some acoustic stuff on my record, and hearing him do it, I think on his record, he plays nylon acoustic on the acoustic tunes, but just the idea that that was a thing, because before that, I had been listening to contemporary uh, jazz guitar trio records. They tend to be electric. Bill Frisell playing electric guitar, or Julian Lage playing electric guitar with his trio, John Scofield, and so on. Mostly electric. But so Wolfgang specifically inspired me on Spry um, to try some acoustic things, and also just meeting him and getting into that record. So in the past couple years, yeah, I've been really inspired by Wolfgang Muthspiel. He's a great artist. Uh, Fender 1960 CS says, "Good afternoon, Mr. Levy. I came to find you via John Cordy. I'm a True Fire member and have really enjoyed your classes. Thank you for sharing with us all." Oh, right on. Thank you so much. Thank you. Uh, Rory McIlvain says, "Hi, Adam. You're an amazing inspiration. Where can I get string theories?" The easiest place is Amazon in wherever you are. I know that people in the US get it on Amazon.com. Uh, somebody in Canada I know got it on Amazon.ca because I helped them find it there, and I know you can get it on Amazon Australia, Amazon.au. I don't have a big stash of them. Really, the way that we decided to release this book, they are uh, printed to order basically. So when you order it on Amazon, they print them up and they send them to you. So I don't have like a box of them at home that I can send. So Amazon is the way. Uh, Hope you can find it. If not, Rory, if you can't find it, let me know and I'll see if I can help you. You can email me, adam@adamlevy.com. Uh, MD Abdullah Al Mamoon says, "Hi, I bought the book. Could you please tell me a bit about the practice routine, especially keeping journals?" Yeah. I find, especially these days, with doing a lot of different things in my life, some musical, some not musical, uh, keeping a journal is just really helpful to know, at the end of one practice session, writing down what you worked on. If you're working on specific pieces of music, write down the names of those pieces. If you're just working on specific sections of those pieces, get real specific. Yeah, I'm working on measures 57 to 72 or whatever. If you're trying to increase the tempo, then I would write down what tempo you're comfortable at the end of that practice session. And then you can use that as a starting point, more or less, for working on it the next day or the next practice session. It also can be a way to just write down, not those real specific things, but more like what you notice when you're practicing. Hey, I notice when I'm practicing that every time I try to do this sort of thing, uh, I'm not able to do it. And that's something that's important to me. And I want to work on it. And then the next day, when you start your practice session, you can think about what you might do to help, fix the thing that's not working. You might even read it. Like, let's say you are a daytime practicer or a morning practicer. So you practice, let's say you have an hour in your day that you can get to the guitar. Uh, Set a timer, practice for 55 minutes, fill that time however you want to. I mean, that's a whole other question, like how to fill that 55 minutes. But assuming that you have a sense of what you want to do, set aside 5 minutes where you put the guitar down and you just write down the things that you worked on and how it went and what your goals are for the next day. And if you're a morning practicer, I would look at that journal one more time before you go to bed so that it's in your thoughts, maybe even in your dreams. And then the next morning, when you wake up to practice, maybe you'll have some insight. So you're not just literally picking up where you left off, like you might do if you're reading a novel, but you're carrying it forward in the day and then revisiting it the next morning or the next afternoon or whatever your routine is. You don't have to use any special book. Like, don't trip about that. It could be any cheap notebook that you find at the Walgreens or the CVS or whatever. I even one teacher that I studied with said, just go to the Salvation Army and just buy any book and write your notes over the whatever's already on the page. A little, that's not for everybody, but it's just it's a cheap way and a resourceful way. Just in other words, don't trip too much about having the right pen or the right notebook. Anything will do. But it's just that's the big idea. I hope that's helpful. Rory, you got the book. Awesome. Matt Eden. Uh, oh, King Pleasure. Cool. Oh, Christopher Butler says, hit the like button if you like. That's nice. Yeah. Hit the like button. Oh, that's much appreciated. Right. There's something called call to action, and I'm really not good at it. I always forget to tell people, you know, call to action. Yeah, if you're having a good time, like it, and if you're not already subscribed to this channel, I hope you'll subscribe. Um, yeah, check out my book, String Theories. It's on Amazon. I've got a Patreon channel. It's called Guitar Tips Pro. You can check that out. I've got a bunch of True Fire courses. I think 6 or 7 of those you can check out. Let me see if I can play a little bit of King Pleasure. Eh. It's hard to play solo. I'll try it again. I'm going to call these chords out. D flat sus, G flat 6, D flat sus, G flat 6, F7, A7, D6, C sharp 7, F sharp minor, E minor 7 with a 9 in there. And I didn't think of it before, but it's got some of the same moves as sidewalk chalk. So not at first, but that's just basically 1/4. But then it goes from this G flat to F7, A7, D6, C sharp 7. So that like sidewalk chalk has that D major 7, C sharp augmented. This goes A7, D6, C sharp 7, F sharp minor. So kind of playing around in the same corner of the sandbox there. And then the bridge, G minor 6. So this is G minor 6, B minor, E minor 6, B flat minor 6, D minor, G minor 6. Where does all that come from? I don't know. I mean, this little bit into the bridge came from the first part of the melody. It's like a little pickup. So I use that as a new harmonization of that. Again, I wanted contrary motion, so the melody's going up. And the bass is kind of going down. G minor 6, B minor with F sharp, so the bass goes down, E minor, and just color. And then same idea, B flat minor 6, D minor with A in the bass, so da da, so ba ba ba, and so melody up, bass down, and then what is it? So it's the chords are B flat 6, F over C, B flat 6 over D, F over C. So we've got this just real simple ba, 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 with the bass going ba, 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 ba. So it's hard for me to play all that, but so this little melody, A, B flat, somehow gets us back into this whole other tonality. That's how that tune goes. That's called King Pleasure. Okay. Merrick says he does big classical player. Yeah. That does not. I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me. Wolfgang Muthspiel's album with Ralph Towner and Slava Grigoryan is a delight, well worth the listen. I do not know that record. I didn't know that they made a record together. I would love to hear that. As soon as I'm done with this live stream, that's the first thing I'm going to do is listen to that. Yeah, love John Cordy. John Cordy is a great player, and yeah, I always appreciate his videos. I made a video. If you haven't seen it, I did this thing last month where I made a backing track and I asked 8 different guitar players to play on it. Well, I asked 7, and then I played on it too. And John Cordy's on there. It's John Cordy, Jack Roosh, Joey Landreth, Jeff Mackerlane, Alex Farron, Rich Hinman. I know I'm going to mess this up and forget somebody. Tim Lurch. Yeah, Tim Lurch and me. And it was really cool to hear John Cordy play on this track that I made. Merrick says, do you have any warm-ups or rituals you do before playing or practicing? One thing I try to do, if I'm going to be doing something where I'm working with a metronome, let's say, I don't practice with the metronome every day, but if I'm going to practice with the metronome for a particular practice session, one ritual is that I'll turn it on before I'm ready to sit down and practice. Like I'll turn on the metronome while I'm making coffee or checking email or something for like 5 minutes, or just, while I'm getting my guitar out and tuning it up. So that I can start to feel the pulse before I try to play along with it, which I think is a good practice. Similarly, sometimes I'll put on a piece of music before I pick up the guitar and try to hear what's going on in the music, see if I can figure out at least, I don't have perfect pitch, so I might not know that the chord progression goes from G to A, but I could hear that if the song were in D, in the key of D, I could hear that it was going from 4 to 5. And then eventually, I could guess that it's in D or whatever key it's in, and I'd know that it's G and A are those chords. So in other words, the ritual, if any, is to try to get into the music by listening to it, either listening to the metronome or listening to something that you're going to transcribe before you pick up your guitar. And if you're not working with something that's got sound, like if you're working from the page, you're trying to learn a classical piece, say, then I would read through it without the guitar in hand. And all of these are just kind of ways of reminding myself that the playing part is the last part of the chain of what needs to happen and not the first part. I think it's easy to start warming up your hands and kind of be looking through the telescope the wrong way. So you're just working on technique without any context of music. So I try to get into the music and then pick up the guitar. So there's that. Once I have the guitar in hand, I tend to play really slow because I want to just hear what I'm doing. That's a C note. I just picked that at random, but then I might, in my head, try to sing another note that is not that note and some distance away. Da, da, and then try to find that. And then if I can do that, I'll find that on every string that I can, maybe even do it on non-adjacent strings. Maybe in another octave. And then I'll start again. Here's a note at random, A. Da, 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 da. and so on. So it's I'm not sure that's exactly ear training, but I'm just trying to lead with my ear rather than leading with um, arpeggios and chromatic things and kind of just calisthenics. I'm not a big fan of guitar calisthenics. There's, I suppose, if you're a really technical player, you have to do those things because you need them. You need to be able to move quickly. My playing doesn't require a lot of speed, so I'm not practicing speed. Because it's not my musical intention. If that is your musical intention, then you have to ask somebody else that question and find out what they do, and try to do those things that would build that up. Oh, Christopher, I'm glad you saw that video. Uh, yeah, that was the video that I made with all those great guitar players. Peter Goddard, 1960, just bought the book. I hope you love it. Uh, Thank you for buying the book. That's cool. Um, Merrick says, "Have you had to deal with any guitar-related injuries?" Yeah, a long, long, long time ago, like 30 years ago, I was having a lot of pain along here, and yeah, it got to the point where it was really hard to play standing up because that's where the strap was hanging. So I started to play sitting down, and I thought, I got to do something about this because at that time I was like 27 years old, and I already felt like I was dealing with some old person stuff. Or that's how it seemed to me at the time. So for a short-term fix, I did one session of acupuncture, which helped a lot. It just kind of let a lot of the tension loose in one session. And then for the next 6 months or a year, I was studying with one Alexander Technique teacher, and then I moved, across the country, so I had to find a new teacher, and I studied with her for a while, and I found that really helpful. So that was in the early '90s. Much more recently, like around, 2020-ish, I was dealing with some, like, pins and needles here, and, I wound up my wife, as a gift, bought me one lesson with a teacher named Gerald Harsher. He's got a website called The Poised Guitarist, and he teaches something. It's different from Alexander Technique. It's called uh, body mapping. That's and that's something I asked Julian Lage to recommend somebody because I knew that he'd gone through some stuff, and he recommended Gerald. That's somebody that he studied with. So my wife bought me one lesson with Gerald, and then I just continued because I really liked his teaching style, and I found it effective. I mean, it wasn't like in one lesson there was a big change, but uh, I could tell that he was on to the right stuff. He could even just over Zoom, he could see stuff that I was doing that I had to work on. So maybe there you can find somebody in your area that teaches Alexander Technique or body mapping, or you can go to Gerald's website. He occasionally does online workshops. I think he has a book out now. So that's Gerald with a J, and you can find him online. He's a great teacher, and he helped me a lot. Um, Todd Bear says your version of "What Would I Do Without You" with Rich Hinman is incredible. Um, I'm an intermediate, late beginner player and trying to learn. Any tips on how to learn a tune like that by ear? Um, well, so I'm gonna give you one clue is that I'll tell you the key we play it in, which is A. So that is going to eliminate a lot of notes because most of the notes in the melody are somehow related to the A major scale. So I would, find A major in a few different positions. You don't have to do all five caged boxes, but maybe this one, maybe, or this one. And you could even just stay on the high four strings. We don't these low strings are not that useful for melody playing in that kind of context. So you could just maybe play. So hopefully that's already familiar to you and you can get around in A major. And then because there's a kind of a bluesiness in the spirit of the song, you might want to also look for some of the minor third, and maybe the flat seven. I'm letting these notes ring. I should be more conscious about muting. So find the major notes of the key and maybe look for some of the blue notes as well so they don't catch you off guard when they come up. And then put the guitar down for a little bit and sing along with the melody. Da, 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 da. So if the song's in A and the first note is da, is that the root of the key? Is it the third, the fifth, some other note? Da, 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 da. Hopefully you can hear that that's the root. Da, da, that's 6, 5, da, da. So it's it's a lot because I'm just talking about the melody, but you'd also have to learn the chords. Um, if you have somebody in your community that has better ears than you, or just can hear that stuff more naturally, don't just ask them to show you. Like, do your best to figure it out. Um, Hopefully, you can hear when it goes to the 4 chord and when it goes to the 5 chord. Those are the kind of big rocks that if you're trying to cross the pond, and the big rocks you need to be able to hear are 1, 4, 5. And then there's these slightly smaller rocks, which is like the 2 chord, the 3 chord, and the 6 chord. Those are all minor chords. And then there's these like diminished chords. Those are a lot harder to hear. Those are very small, slippery rocks that are just under the surface and have moss on them. But try, like I'm giving you a clue here. Like there are some diminished chords in this song. That's not a diminished chord, it's just an inversion. That's a diminished chord. Try to listen to the bass moving up. Like if you're not sure of the chord, just try to find the bass notes. And then see if you can play it all together. And I'm not even playing chords here. I'm just trying to play the melody and the bass at the same time. I don't know if that's easy for you or if it's impossible for you, but that would be really helpful to get the top and the bottom line, and then you can start to, do a little detective work and see what makes musical sense to fill the notes in between. Uh, Gosh, um, it's been an hour, and I feel like I should sign off. I'm gonna just read through any remaining questions. Christopher Butler, John and I became Facebook Messenger pen pals over the past couple years. He's a really funny, generous, self-deprecative, uh, good dude, as well as being a phenomenal player and improviser. He pointed me to you. Oh, that's nice. Well, the feeling's mutual. I only know him mostly through his YouTube posts. We had a brief exchange, I guess, through email or Instagram messaging. Messaging. I can't remember. Just for me to send him the track and stuff. But just he was really friendly and responsive and played his butt off in the clip. If you haven't seen it, and yeah, he's a breath of fresh air to me as far in like the YouTube guitar space. I like. Uh, I think he's a really good storyteller and a curious guy and a great guitar player. Yeah, Rory, "Some Distance Away" is a good song title. Um, let's see. Tiberio Rangel, hope I'm saying that correctly. How do you play different accompanying another guitar player versus pedal steel? Is it more similar to accompanying a B3? Um, that's a good question. Mm, yes. I think generally, yes. The way that I play with Rich Hinman, who's the pedal steel guitar player I work with a lot, is maybe similar to how I would play with a B3, except that there's more overlap. So I want to be mindful, excuse me, of what register he's playing in and either stay out of the way or get in his way if that makes some kind of musical sense in the moment. Sometimes with me and Rich, it's neat to just be two buzzards, feasting on the same carcass. Sometimes that can be really fun. Other times I try to really stay out of his way in terms of what register he's in and also like rhythmically where he's placing stuff. I try to be mindful of that. Again, either playing something that opposes it or supports it, depending on the moment and the mood. Yeah, so there's just that basically that there's a little more overlap of guitar and pedal steel. So that can be something you use to your advantage, or could be quicksand. um, Philip Ashby says, I really enjoy your teaching style. Putting you up with Tim Pierce as somebody who explains things in a way that makes sense to me, at least. Well, that's nice. I sure aim for that and always would welcome feedback if I am explaining something and I'm not making sense to you. Uh, Feel free to ask or, like that's the big idea. I hope to explain things in a way that makes sense to you. This is a funny platform because we're not really in a room together. When I studied with Ted Green, he was amazing at that. He could really change up his language, almost even his like cadence and uh, how he talked. He was just really good at zeroing in on where a person was at and how to explain something in a way that would make the most sense to them. Which is he was really gifted that way. Thank you, Miss, for the inspiration. Greetings from Argentina. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you so much. Great teaching style makes me a bit sleepy though. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, I should try to be a little more lively in these. Thanks for the session. That's Tony Wetham. Jay, I discovered you through your rhythm makeover on TrueFire. That was a really great course. Do you have any plans for a new course on TrueFire? I don't have any plans with TrueFire at the moment. I've just been so busy with other stuff. I just haven't really had a moment to think about creating another course. If I did create another course, what do you think would be useful? What would be your dream course, if I could make a course just for you, JBL, what would it be? Oh, Tom Spoonmore just gave a tip. Thank you, Tom Spoonmore. That's really nice. Thank you. Uh, that was my first super on a live stream. I'm gonna love it. Woo. JBL, answer please if you're still there, answer this question, and then I will sign off. You're keeping me in suspense here. Um, what would be the course that you would love to have? Maybe I'll think about making that. Oh, Alex, man, I'm just about to sign off. Oh man, hey everybody, Alex Farron. um, Alex, I don't know if you saw my message earlier. I was walking around Brooklyn and I passed a real estate office, Farron Real Estate. Uh, Pedro says a course on transcribing. That's a really cool idea. Uh, I think I will give that some thought. That's a really cool idea. Yeah. I haven't heard from JBL, so either I lulled JBL to sleep or JBL had to run. Rhett, oh man, all my pals are showing up at the end. Gosh. Uh, well, hey Rhett, everybody say hey to Rhett. Maybe Rhett will have another suggestion. Somebody just a minute ago said that they liked one of my True Fire courses and they'd love it if I would do, or they asked if I'd have any. I shouldn't presume that they would love it. They asked if I have any plans to make another course for True Fire, which at the moment I don't. But Rhett, if I was going to make a course, what would be the course that you would want to see? Uh, what do you think would be a cool course idea? Um, let's see. Martin, I think that's a cool idea. How to turn the jazz you hear onto the guitar. Uh, Alex Farron says, I'd love to see a course on making chord melodies and showing your process. Okay. Wow, lots of good ideas here. What am I? I'm just sleeping on all this stuff. Chord melody course: how to accompany singer transitioning from blues to jazz. All right, I'm actually going to take a screenshot because I want to remember all this stuff. Uh, yeah. These are solid gold ideas. Okay, everybody, watch watch my True Fire channel for a whole bunch of new stuff coming soon. 100 ways to harmonize a major scale, jazz chords for beginners. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to take one more screenshot and then I think I'm going to sign off. Sorry for Rhett and Alex to make it such a short visit, but all right, I'm taking pictures of all this. Thank you, everybody, for the great ideas. Um, and thanks for tuning in. It's really been a long time since I've done one of these, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to hang with me. I'll do it again soon. Everybody, take good care. All right.